Hi, and welcome to this week's episode of Let's Talk Sports podcast with me, Lucia. The G-Men are really good. I watched that game against the Seattle Seahawks, and I was like, this Giants defense is legitimate. It is really good. And Joe Judge was the best choice of coach for the New York Football Giants that we've ever had. Apart from Tom Coughlin, but hey. So, with Giants football, and me being a Giants fan, I think I'm well aware to say this, is we mainly focus on the defensive end of the ball. Like, we don't focus as much on offense. We just have a good quarterback that doesn't turn over the balls that can make really good plays. Like Eli Manning, who had that Manningham throw that was incredible, who had several throws in big game situations, which led him to be the MVP of the Super Bowl. But really, what got us there and what made us the New York Giants that won those last two Super Bowls that we've had is our defense. We had Michael Strahan, Justin Tuck, a whole bunch of defensive giants that were on the field. And that is what New York football is all about. It's not necessarily about all the glitz and the glam of, say, an Odell Beckham, who I love. I think that he's an incredible talent, but he's not grindy enough. He's not New York hard-nosed football. So it doesn't surprise me that once Eli retired, and I love Eli, as people know, I love Eli, but it's not that much of a coincidence that now that our defense is legit, we're actually doing better. Our defense is what makes the New York Football Giants the New York Football Giants. It's not our offense, it's our defense. And I'm so impressed. It's making me so happy that we actually have a chance to get to the playoffs. And look, I said last week that the New York Giants are my sleeper team for the NFC. And I think that some people are waking up to it. It will depend on how we go against the Arizona Cardinals. I'm hoping for a very, very good game. I think that it's going to be interesting to see how our defense goes up against Kyler Murray and D-Hop. I think it's going to be an incredibly tough, hard-gritting game. And who would have thought that in 2020 we would be talking about, in week 15, that the Cowboys and 49ers has been pushed off the Sunday night football schedule to be replaced by the Browns and the Giants. That is incredible, but the Cowboys have far more problems than what anyone else in the NFC has to deal with, that NFC East has to deal with. Now talking about another team that has problems in the NFC East. Not the Pittsburgh Steelers, same state, but the Philadelphia Eagles have officially benched Carson Wentz. Thank God that has happened. As people have been saying, I think that Carson Wentz is officially broken. It's like a toy that just broke. It's like what the Jets have done to Sam Darnold. Sam Darnold was a good quarterback until he had to play with the Jets. We are not going to be talking about that play at the end of that Raiders game. I think that's been done to death. But yeah, so somebody said the other day, right around the time for Elf on the Shelf, they have to see Wentz on the bench. And I love that. It must hurt for Carson Wentz. It just hurts to be benched. I'm making so many jokes about Jalen Hurts. Because, hey, why not? Why not joke at at the expense of the Philadelphia Eagles. And now, talking about Philadelphia and Pennsylvania, we're going to talk about the other team in the state. The Pittsburgh Steelers finally have lost to the Washington football team, which, like the Giants, is having a major upswing too. Alex Smith has won Comeback Player of the Year. He is incredible, and I am so very, very thankful that he is living and fine and playing the game that he loves, being a quarterback, being a great leader. Clearly there was something wrong with Dwayne Haskins. So yeah, it's incredible seeing Alex Smith out there again. But the Steelers finally lost, which is what needed to happen. They needed a wake-up call. I read somewhere the other day that the Pittsburgh Steelers have not really played a real opponent apart from the Ravens up until they face the Washington football team. A team that has no name. In the first week, they could have quite easily lost to the Giants. But Daniel Jones just turned over the ball too much. And I think he's fixed that now for the time being, which I'm thankful for. I'm touching wood on all fronts over that. But yeah, I'm excited to see where Pittsburgh goes. So yeah, I think we all should be very excited for the Pittsburgh Steelers and seeing how they can reboot from there. Now let's get into some NBA news. James Harden needs to be moved. Like yesterday type. He is being a major distraction, not showing up and going to Vegas and partying in Vegas over going in and checking in for his training camp. That was severely unprofessional, and I am now seeing more and more why James Harden will never win an NBA championship. To me, he doesn't have the right mindset. It's funny how great of a scorer he can be, but he's never going to be that one player that can win you a championship. He's going to be the reason why you lose a championship and not win one. And that's really sad because James Harden is one of the best players of our generation. But he will never win a championship. And that's sad. I've heard from people within the industry that the 76ers are not willing to move either Joel or Ben. And the package that would be needed for the Nets would trap the Nets in draft purgatory for years, and I don't think that that's something that they should do. Yeah, the whole James Harden situation just is really sad. Yeah, I don't have any more to say on that. So let's move on to another sad story. Paul George and his comments on Doc Rivers and coaching style and why they lost a 3-1 lead. They lost a 3-1 lead, Paul. You lost a 3-1 lead, Paul George, because you didn't show up. That is the reason why. You are so great in the regular season. Where is playoff P? Where is that? Because Kawhi could have used playoff P. He could have really used playoff P. I think that playoff P is more like way off P. He said that Doc Rivers failed to make adjustments and that Doc tried to use him as a Ray Allen or Steph Curry. All the statistics say otherwise. And Paul George, there's no amount of adjustments needed that you would hit the side of the backboard. the side of the backboard. Paul George is lucky that Doc Rivers even agreed to coach him after what he did to Doc's daughter, who is actually now in a much better situation with Seth Curry. Yeah, you don't do that to Doc. And guess who was sitting right next to Doc? Ty Lue, who's now your coach. This whole firing of Doc kind of makes me wonder, was it all internal? Was it a coup? Did Paul George and Kawhi Leonard really not want to play for Doc Rivers? And if they didn't want to play for Doc Rivers, why didn't they both come to the Lakers? Which I'm actually glad that they're not there. But it just doesn't all make sense to me. Anyway, in talking about the new season and new coaches, the Clippers have a big test coming up because they'll be facing the Lakers in their first preseason game. And preseason starts in under 24 hours, which is incredible. I'm so happy. So thankful that basketball's back. So preseason's starting in the next 24 hours. And this year, I have decided to do my very first fantasy basketball competition. So I'm doing it in a free competition with ESPN. I have no idea who the rest of the people that I'm up against are. And yeah, I'm so excited. So excited to be doing something different. So in talking about doing something different, what I'm going to be doing for the NBA and for this season, because it's so squished together and there's lots of back-to-backs, I'm going to be choosing a few games, just like I did when the bubble was happening, a few games, and discuss them and discuss like things that are going around them as well as news outside. I'm going to focus less on the news outside and more focus on what's happening inside the lines of the basketball court, because I want to shift the talk of news media into being more about what happens inside the lines of the basketball court. Anyway, in talking about that, we need to do NFL Week 14. Yes, 4 more weeks to go until we hit the playoffs. So first up, we've got the Rams versus the Pats. I'm going with the Rams. We've got the Jags versus the Titans. I'm going with the Titans. We've got the Bucks versus the Vikings. I'm going with the Bucks. The Bucks had the last of the bye week last week, so I'm very excited to see Tom Brady post bye week. I'm going with the Bucks. We've got the Dolphins versus the Chiefs. I wouldn't be surprised if the Dolphins beat the Chiefs. We've got the Panthers versus the Broncos. I'm going with the Panthers. We've got the Bears versus the Texans. I'm going with the Texans. We've got the Giants versus the Cardinals, which is going to be a great game. I'm going with the Giants. Yay. We've got the Bengals versus the Cowboys. I'm going with the Bengals because I don't think the Cowboys are winning game again. We've got the Raiders versus the Colts. I'm going with the Raiders. We've got the Seahawks versus the Jets. I'm going with the Seahawks, even though they lost. The Jets are trash. We've got the Lions versus the Packers. I'm going with the Packers. We've got the Chargers versus the Falcons. I'm going with the Falcons. We've got the 49ers versus Washington football team. I'm actually going to go with the Washington football team. We've got the Eagles versus the Saints. I'm going with the Saints. We've got the Bills versus the Steelers. This will be a good game. I'm going to go with the Bills. I think the Bills are going to win it. And then we've got the Browns versus the Ravens. I am going with the Browns. So, yeah, they're my Week 14 picks. So that is all for this week's episode of Let's Talk Sports podcast with me, Lucia. So, I'll catch you all next week. Bye.